Welcome to Listen and Learn English, where you can improve your English at your own pace. Our narrators are all native English speakers, and their words are displayed so that you can read along and practice your English vocabulary. It's a great way to learn, so sit back, relax, and let's get into the video. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Chapter 5. The Rescue of the Tin Woodman. When Dorothy awoke the next morning, the forest was alive with sunlight. Golden beams streamed through the leafy canopy, breaking into little patches of brightness that danced across the ground. Toto was already up and busy. He darted here and there, barking at squirrels that leapt from tree to tree, and chasing birds that flew just out of reach. She stretched, then sat up and looked about her. The little cottage of branches and logs was quiet, except for the rustle of leaves outside. In the corner stood the Scarecrow. Dorothy realized he had stood there without complaint, watching over her until morning. "We must go and search for water," she said as she rose, brushing the leaves from her dress. The Scarecrow tilted his head curiously. "Why do you want water?" "To wash my face," Dorothy explained. "After all the dust of the road, I feel grimy, and I need to drink so the bread won't stick in my throat." The Scarecrow seemed to consider this very carefully, as though she had revealed some profound truth. "It must be inconvenient," he said at last, "to be made of flesh. You must eat and drink and sleep and care for yourselves in so many ways. But then," he added thoughtfully, "you have brains, and perhaps all that trouble is worth it, if it means you can think properly." Dorothy smiled faintly. She was beginning to grow fond of his strange way of looking at things. They left the cottage and wandered through the forest until they found a spring bubbling clear and cold between two mossy stones. Dorothy knelt beside it, splashing the cool water over her face and hands, then drank deeply. It refreshed her like nothing else. She gave Toto some water, then opened her basket and took out what remained of her bread. She ate slowly, aware that there was little left. She was thankful the Scarecrow did not eat, for what remained was scarcely enough for herself and Toto for the day. Just as she was about to gather her things and return to the yellow brick road, a low sound startled her. It was a deep groan, mournful and strange, echoing softly through the trees. "What was that?" she asked timidly, glancing around. The Scarecrow lifted his head. "I cannot imagine, but we can go and see." Another groan followed, louder this time, and it seemed to come from behind them. Dorothy clutched Toto and turned. Together, she and the Scarecrow walked a few steps into the forest. A shaft of sunlight broke through the canopy, falling across something that gleamed. Dorothy gasped and ran toward it, then stopped short with a cry of surprise. There, standing as still as a statue, was a man made entirely of tin. His body shone in the sunlight, his arms and legs jointed with clever workmanship. In his hands he held an axe, raised as though to strike, but he stood frozen in place, unable to move. Beside him was a great tree, half chopped through, as if he had been at work when time itself stopped for him. Dorothy stared in amazement. Toto barked sharply, snapping at the tin legs, but quickly yelped and drew back when its teeth struck the hard surface. "Did you groan?" Dorothy asked at last, her voice hushed. "Yes," came the reply, slow and sorrowful. The Tin Man's mouth moved stiffly, as though the effort cost him. "I've been groaning for more than a year, yet no one heard me, and no one came." The sadness in his voice made Dorothy's heart ache. "What can I do for you?" she asked gently. "Fetch an oil can," he said. "My joints are rusted. I cannot move at all. Oil me well, and I shall be free again. There is an oil can on a shelf in my cottage." Without hesitation, Dorothy ran back through the trees to the little hut where she had slept. Just as he had said, she found a small oil can on the shelf. She hurried back, clutching it tightly. "Where are your joints?" she asked a little anxiously, unsure how to begin. "Oil my neck first," the Tin Woodman instructed. Dorothy carefully poured oil onto the stiff joint at his neck. The Scarecrow helped by gently moving the head from side to side until the rust gave way and the tin moved freely again. The Woodman sighed deeply, a sound of pure relief. "Now my arms," he said. Dorothy oiled each joint, and the Scarecrow bent them carefully until the Woodman could move them by himself. He lowered the axe he had been holding all that time and leaned it against the tree. "This is a great comfort," he said with a polite bow. "I've been holding that axe in the air ever since I rusted. My arms ached, though perhaps it was only my imagination. But now, if you will oil my legs, I shall be as good as new." Dorothy obeyed, and soon the Tin Woodman stretched his legs, stepping stiffly at first, then more easily. At last he stood tall and straight, gleaming in the morning sun. He thanked them again and again, bowing low with every word. "I might have stood there forever had you not come. Truly, you have saved my life. How did you happen to find me?" "We are traveling to the Emerald City," Dorothy explained, "to ask the Great Oz for help. I want him to send me home to Kansas, and the Scarecrow wants him to give him some brains." The Tin Woodman seemed to think carefully. Then he asked, "Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?" Dorothy looked at him earnestly. "I don't see why not. It should be no harder to give you a heart than to give the Scarecrow brains." "Then I will join you," said the Woodman eagerly. "I will go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me." The Scarecrow clapped his straw hands together with delight. Dorothy said she would be pleased for his company, and so the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe, and the three companions, with Toto trotting beside them, returned to the yellow brick road. The Tin Woodman asked Dorothy to keep the oil can in her basket, "For if I am caught in the rain," he explained, "I might rust again, and then the oil would be my only hope." It proved good fortune to have him with them, for soon the yellow brick road grew tangled with branches. The forest closed in thickly, and fallen trees blocked their way. But the Woodman swung his axe with skill, chopping and clearing a path until they could continue. Dorothy watched him work, marveling at his strength. As they walked again, Dorothy grew lost in thought. She was so deep in her own worries about the little bread left, about Aunt Em and Uncle Henry waiting in Kansas, that she failed to notice when the Scarecrow stumbled into a hole. He rolled to the side of the road and called out cheerfully for help. Dorothy ran to him and helped him back to his feet. The Tin Woodman regarded him with surprise. "Why did you not walk around the hole?" he asked. "I don't know enough," said the Scarecrow good-naturedly. "My head is stuffed with straw, you see. That is why I'm going to ask Oz for brains." "I see," the Tin Woodman replied. Then he said thoughtfully, "But brains are not the greatest thing in the world." "Why is that?" the Scarecrow asked curiously. The Tin Woodman sighed and began his story. He told them how he had once been a man of flesh, a woodcutter like his father before him. He had cared for his mother, then fallen in love with a beautiful Munchkin maiden. They had planned to marry, but the old woman she lived with had other ideas. Wished to keep the girl for her household chores, the woman sought out the wicked witch of the East. For a price, the witch enchanted his axe. Time after time, the cursed blade betrayed him, cutting away first his leg, then the other, then his arms, his head, and finally his very body. Each time the faithful tinsmith had replaced the lost part with tin, until at last he was made entirely of metal. He had been proud of his shining body, but in losing his heart he had lost the very love that had made him happy. And so the Woodman finished, his tin face solemn. "Though I can chop and walk and speak, I cannot feel love. A man without a heart cannot be truly happy. That is why I seek one from the Great Oz." Dorothy listened, moved to tears. The Scarecrow shook his head. "I shall still ask for brains," he said, "for without them one would not know what to do with the heart if one had it." "And I will take the heart," said the Woodman firmly, "for brains may make one clever, but they do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world." Dorothy said nothing. She did not know which of her friends was right. She only knew that her own wish to return home to Kansas mattered most of all. If she could reach Aunt Em and Uncle Henry again, she would be content no matter what became of hearts or brains. but as she glanced at her nearly empty basket, a shadow of worry crossed her face. The bread was almost gone, and though neither the Scarecrow nor the Tin Woodman needed food, she and Toto could not live without it. She hugged the little dog close and resolved silently that they must find help soon, or else the journey to the Emerald City would end before it truly began. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please support us by giving it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We release new videos just like this one each week, so join us and listen to learn English.